Warning, the following podcast contains adult content, adult language, and adult situations. I talk openly about sex and explicit topics. If you are under the age of 18 or are uncomfortable listening to sexually explicit narratives, please listen no further. I am not a professional therapist, counselor, or doctor. I'm just an average guy in the swinger lifestyle who likes to share his experiences. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Please seek a professional if you are in need of advice, guidance, or care as it relates to sexual health or alternative lifestyles. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Evan Swings, a podcast about the swinger lifestyle from the perspective of a guy in the lifestyle. That would be me. I'm your host, Evan, and I'm glad you're here. Tuning in for the first time? Well, look, what can I say? I'm half of a lifestyle couple. The other half is my awesome wife, Eva, and we have been in the lifestyle for about 3 years. I recommend, as I always do, that you give my earlier episodes a listen first. There is some chronological stuff in the first bunch of episodes, but no context is needed for this episode if you stay. So feel free to stay. For those of you returning, thank you as always for listening. If you were interested, I have some Evan Swings merch coming out soon for purchase. T-shirts, hats, hoodies, all kinds of stuff. And I'm totally kidding. I have not even come close to reaching that level of popularity, and doubt that I ever will. I'm just doing this podcast as a labor of love right now. I enjoy telling about the lifestyle adventures of Eva and myself, and I'm just hoping to entertain and inform. That's why I'm here. And boy, am I happy to inform you of something today. After 3 years in the lifestyle, I finally had my 2 biggest fantasies fulfilled. In a span of 6 days, I had an FMF threesome with Eva and another lovely lady. And then I met that same lady at a hotel separately for a naughty rendezvous. So needless to say, we met a pretty incredible lady. She is absolutely fantastic, and I feel like I have a real connection, a real chemistry with her. It's been an absolute thrill ride. So I wanted to start this episode with the song by Etta James, At Last, but with copyright laws and all that, I didn't want to risk it, but just kind of picture that in your minds. Etta James, At Last, because at last I've had my 2 biggest fantasies fulfilled that I've been trying to fulfill for 3 years. So I look back to episode 11 of this podcast, which Eva still calls the whiny bitch episode, by the way. If you've never listened to that episode, I discuss how it is so much easier for a woman in the lifestyle to fulfill her fantasies than it is for a guy. And I still think that is true. But things can also be cyclical in the lifestyle. Eva was on a pretty damn good run for a while I sat back and kind of waited for things to turn more in my favor. Just kind of hoped they would turn more in my favor. She got to fulfill a bunch of her fantasies and do some fun, naughty stuff. And if you didn't listen to episode 11, I could just kind of give you the cliff notes here. She surprised the guy at his house. She showed up at his door wearing a trench coat with lingerie on underneath and fucked him while his wife was at work. The wife knew, of course, by the way, and she actually helped set all that up. Let's see. Eva also got to meet a guy separately at a hotel and was able to, at one point, play with 3 guys at the same time, among other things. There were some other things too, but those are the big ones. And I waited patiently, maybe impatiently. I just always hoped that one day I would get to do, one of my fantasies, my big fantasies that I wanted. They were my biggest ones. In fact, if you recall, if you've been here since the beginning, the prospect of having an FMF threesome is what ultimately got us into the lifestyle in the first place. And it just never happened for 3 years. The opportunity just never presented itself. But like I said, I guess things can be cyclical, because I feel like I'm on a pretty good run right now, and Eva hasn't had the best run lately. 2 out of the 3 couples with whom we were playing for the first time recently, the guy was unable to perform. So twice out of 3 times, we've had a couple where the guy was unable to perform. So Eva was kind of getting a little down about that, and honestly starting to take it a little personally, when she shouldn't. She shouldn't feel that way. It's something that happens. One of these guys was the Alexa guy from episode 8. If you want to check out that adventure and listen to that episode, hear all about it. And then, in the last month or so, we also had one of our regular couples cancel on us. And Eva was actually really excited about that, and then really bummed when it didn't work out. So like I said, I guess it's cyclical sometimes, and patience can be a virtue. Any listeners out there who feel like things are not looking good right now in the lifestyle, give it some time. I'm living proof that things can turn around in an instant. And my story today is about how they turned around. I want to tell you about my 2 adventures, my 2 fantasy fulfillments. As I said, within a 6-day period, I fulfilled both of them. So let's start off with the threesome. Let me tell you all about that. Now, all right, I guess I should rewind a bit first and let all you listeners know that Eva and I met a fantastic new local couple, and I will call them Annie and Will. They are fairly new to the lifestyle, but they were ready to jump in head first. It started a few months back, and our profiles crossed on SDC. And it was exciting to have another prospective couple who actually lived right in our hometown. We chatted a bit back and forth, but things really picked up, and I have Walmart to thank. So I'm the shopper in our family. I do all the grocery shopping, and I take after my grandfather, who was a notorious bargain hunter. Okay, I'm the same way. I use several coupon apps, and I'm always, looking out, seeking a good deal. Now, Walmart tends to have the best deals out of the grocery stores in my town, so I spend a good portion of my grocery shopping time there. So I'm just doing my thing, and, at Walmart, and I pass this beautiful woman with my shopping cart. It took me a second, but I recognized her from the photos. It was Annie. So I looked at her and said, "Hey, you, do I know you?" And I can't remember her exact response, but I said, "You're Annie, aren't you?" She confirmed, and she introduced herself, and I introduced myself. I'm like, "I'm Evan," and we had a quick little inconsequential chat. She did mention later that meeting me for the first time, though, she wished she was dressed differently because she was in very casual clothes. But what she didn't realize was that that didn't matter to me at all, like at all. Now that I saw how hot she was in person, I was more excited than ever to meet her and her husband for dinner. Now, at that point, I can't remember if we had that dinner on our calendar yet, like already. I'm not sure. Well, I came home and told Eva all about it, about our meeting at Walmart and how excited I was. I told her how attractive I found her and how I couldn't wait for us to get together with them. That whole Walmart encounter was kind of like a catalyst. Evidently, I made a fairly decent impression because after that, the chatting picked up, and if we weren't scheduled for dinner at that point, we got it scheduled pretty quick. And that dinner went great. I was just the whole time just captivated by this girl's hotness. All right. It was literally difficult for me to maintain eye contact with her because I was afraid that she knew I was just sitting there undressing her in my mind while talking to her. Her husband was great too, very nice, and we share similar occupations, so we had some common ground to build on. Well, that and, of course, our wives are legit smoke shows. So we learned a lot about them and why they got into the lifestyle. Just usual first lifestyle date stuff. The usual stuff that we talked about. Nothing extremely unique or newsworthy to report from that dinner, except that when that date ended, I wanted Annie even more than ever. Oh my God, did I want to do naughty things to her? but I did my best to play it cool. All right, I didn't want to come out as overbearing or creepy or make her feel uncomfortable in any way. Eva and I had our usual post-date discussion, and we agreed that we definitely wanted to see them again. And a second date for us, of course, usually means a spicy date, a play date. So things happened very quickly. I noticed that I really had a connection with this woman, right? I mean, I loved talking to her. I thought she was unbelievably sexy, and we just, hit it off. As we were trying to come up with a date that all four of us could get together, I made some flirty comments to her over text. Now, well, let me just say, flirty for me, okay? I am not the best flirt in the world, trust me. And Eva will totally back me up on this and probably even make fun of me for it. I am not a good flirt. Well, I said something like, I hope I don't see you at Walmart again because I wouldn't be able to resist asking you to come back to my car and hopping in the back seat with me. Something like that. And then somehow that evolved into, we should really do that. Before our play date, that would be fun. Like I said, things happen quickly. One thing led to another, and we were all of a sudden talking about the very hot and very real possibility of meeting in the store parking lot and having sex in the back seat. Eva was on board with this, but she wasn't comfortable with us actually having sex. since all four of us hadn't had a play date yet. So the plan was we were going to find a time to meet at the store and make out in the backseat as kind of like a sneak preview for our eventual play date. The day after this, after we decided this, I confronted Eva about it because I needed some rules and parameters here. Like what exactly did making out mean? Was that, just kissing? Was some fondling allowed? Could it go as far as oral sex? So I wanted to make sure I was only going as far as what Eva was comfortable with. Okay? Eva is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. She never ceases to amaze me. She informed me that she'd been thinking about it, and she didn't actually care if I actually had sex with Annie. Furthermore, get this, she said if we wanted to be more comfortable, as opposed to the back seat of a car, I was welcome to invite Annie back to Eva's office to play. From previous episodes, you might remember that Eva has her own office in the healthcare business, and one of the rooms inside her office, we've added a couch that folds down into a futon bed. So it's a nice place to have some private time that Eva and I have used on occasion when we wanted to get some private time away from our kids. So Eva offered this to me. I was shocked, okay, happily shocked. My wife is absolutely amazing. And so is Annie's husband, by the way, because when I told her the news, like I told her that, what Eva was allowing us to do, he was fine with that too. So, the dude is a rock star, a total lifestyle rock star. I'm just so appreciative of him, and I'm just amazed by his, just the way he, allowed Annie to do this and to trust me. I thought that was just amazing on his part. So it came to pass that I would be meeting Annie one Saturday at Eva's office for a play date. I will not go into the juicy details of that event, but I will just tell you it was fantastic. Annie and I truly seemed to have a great connection, great chemistry. We had a lot of fun. And I think we still do have that great connection and great chemistry as I sit here a couple of months later. The only entertaining thing I will tell you about that evening was that I was an absolute nervous wreck. But Annie was fantastic, and those nerves subsided. I was literally shaking before I went over to Eva's office. Like my body was literally shaking, and Eva makes fun of me for that to this day as well. But anyway, like I said, Annie was fantastic. Those nerves subsided, and speaking of fantastic, it was also fantastic was that this whole situation unexpectedly seemed to turn Eva on. Because I came home and she practically attacked me, practically tore my clothes off and wanted to hear all the juicy details of what happened. Then, a few days later, Eva actually talked with Annie separately without my knowledge and set up another solo playdate for me and her at her office. It seemed this whole situation just excited Eva more than she even anticipated. Needless to say, or maybe I did say, Annie and I really hit it off. And then later on, we even had an awesome play date with all four of us, me, Eva, Annie, and Will. We rented an Airbnb. We played some games. We had some drinks. And then we had some adult fun. And it was a great time. Annie was well aware of my two biggest fantasies. And again, to repeat, that's having an FMF threesome, and then meeting a woman alone at a hotel. And let me say, this lady is so awesome. She really wanted to be the one to make not one, but both of those happen for me. And that, finally, leads me to the story of our threesome. Eva was all in on this too, all right? She knew how much I wanted to try an FMF threesome and how long I'd been waiting for it to happen. So we got a hotel room one Saturday night, and Annie arrived there to meet us. And you'll never believe this, and I'm being sarcastic, you'll never believe this, but I was nervous as fuck. Here we are, all three of us just sitting around a hotel room talking. Listeners, I will straight up tell you, if it wasn't for Eva, we may have just talked the whole evening. I was so nervous. Like I didn't know how to make a move in a situation like this. I didn't know when to make a move. I didn't know what move to make. Do I just start kissing or caressing someone? And who? Like who do I kiss or caress first? These are things I never anticipated when I fantasized about having a threesome. Just, things I never thought of. Like I just pictured in my mind me having sex with two different women, but the specifics, like the logistics of it, never crossed my mind. So here I was in this situation, and it's like I didn't know what to do. But as I mentioned, Eva is my rock. She is awesome. She happens to love the phrase, shit or get off the pot. Just an old phrase that she'd heard a long time ago, and it's something she kind of lives by. Shit or get off the pot. So after about an hour and 15 minutes of just chatting, and yes, 1 hour and 15 minutes, I was in a hotel room with two beautiful women and hadn't done a thing yet. So after that time, Eva excused herself to use the bathroom. When she came out, she was wearing only her bra and panties. She was obviously ready to get the party started. And if it wasn't for her, I might have just kept on chatting and chatting and chatting. Too nervous to make a move. With Eva getting partially undressed, Annie followed suit. So I had these two drop-dead gorgeous women in their underwear in front of me. They started kissing while I just watched and enjoyed it and just kind of, took it all in, took in what was happening. It was finally happening after all this time, so I wanted to enjoy the moment. Now, I should interject with a note about myself here, okay? Whenever we have spicy dates, somehow, some way, I always seem to be the last person to get naked. And I really don't know why. I'm just slow with that. Well, Eva and Annie made fun of me for that and decided that I should get completely naked before them at this moment. So they helped me out of my clothes, and I stood there completely naked while these two beautiful women kissed in front of me. And they sucked on each other's boobs, they fingered each other, they caressed each other's bodies. It was a dream coming true. Then they kind of brought me into the fray, and it was game on. They started by, both sucking on my dick, then asked me what I wanted next. And this was tough for me because I don't like being the center of attention, especially in the lifestyle. But this was my fantasy, all right? My thing. So I was asked to, at least to help steer the course. I really didn't care about positions or anything like that. I was just happy to be there and happy to be doing what I had wanted to try for 3 years. The only position I requested was that I wanted one lady to ride me while the other sat on my face and faced the other lady, and they would kiss. And they kindly obliged. Both of these lovely ladies took a turn at each position. It was as phenomenal as I envisioned that it would be. All in all, it was just an amazing time with who have become my absolute favorite two ladies in the lifestyle. Of course, Eva is, my favorite, but Annie is just incredible. That's all I can say. She is amazing. And amazing as that was, the fun was not quite over, because the following Friday, again, just 6 days after our threesome, Annie agreed to meet me one-on-one at a hotel, fulfilling my other biggest fantasy. Usually I am always incredibly nervous before a play date, but this time felt different to me. This time I was more excited than nervous, way more excited, like unbelievably excited. It was exactly as I hoped it would be. I showed up at the hotel, went to the front desk and got the key, headed to the room, and then I texted Annie with the room number and told her to come up when she arrived. And it was everything I hoped for and more. And I'm not just talking about the sex, which was unbelievable. I just mean the whole experience, all right? The whole thing. I loved the feeling of sitting in the room, waiting for my hot date to arrive at my door. And I sprung for a suite, so we had a small living area with a couch. So I invited her in, offered her a drink, played some sexy music, and we just sat on the couch and we just talked for a little bit. But not too long, because like I said, I was super excited and I couldn't wait to get my hands on her. The room was a little cold, so there was a nice little segue here. She wanted to get under the covers to warm up. So we hopped in bed, under the covers, and started kissing. The clothes came off, and the rest was history. Fantasy number 2 fulfilled. Everything I could have possibly hoped for and more. We stayed a little over 2 hours, I'd say, right around there. 2 rounds, I guess. And then it was, unfortunately, time to depart. Now, this may sound strange, but to top it off, what was really, also just awesome? Exiting the hotel. I know that sounds weird, okay, but the feeling I had was just amazing. I just had this strange sensation come over me. I was leaving a hotel where I just fucked a woman who was not my wife, and it was this really naughty, sexy feeling, and I just absolutely loved it. I can't put into words the feeling. It was just fantastic. My 2 biggest fantasies fulfilled over the course of only 6 days after waiting 3 years. So yeah, I consider myself to be quite a lucky dude right now. And that's it. That was the those were the two stories right there. And so I think with that, I will just sign off for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the adventure or adventures that I just shared with you. And I certainly enjoyed sharing them with you, and hope that you'll tune in again sometime for another episode of Evan Swings. Until then, as always, you can connect with me and Eva on Instagram and Kik. So just search for Evan Dienson. That's EvanDeanson. We'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to talk about this in my next episode as well, but I have to say, we've been in the lifestyle for 3 years, and, I've already shared a lot of stories on this podcast. I'm afraid I'm going to run out. Again, we haven't been in the lifestyle for very long. So that's where I need your help, listeners. So if you have questions, topics you'd like me to talk about, let me know. Let me know, because then I could design some episodes around those. So until then, be safe, be naughty, and take care, everybody.